a sensitization on this, and he'll mobilize so that they won't think this is a trap to arrest me. Yeah.
Right. As well, as we talk about it, there are several issues that you've highlighted throughout the conversation, and as we talk about these issues, there is the matter of budgeting and allocation of funds for you to be able to undertake the exercises that you're taking. Reaching out needs money, yet we know that funds are limited. As well as there is the fact that we have gender desks in police stations that ought to perform well. Some are doing a good job, some unfortunately are lagging behind. How is judiciary making sure that all gender desks, because you talk of a conveyor belt, and a conveyor belt in terms of investigations, how reporting is done, how documentation is done, filing of evidence is really important. So in terms of working together with the police, making sure that no one is lagging behind in making sure that these cases are processed well, and as well as time taken in adjudicating these issues. These are matters that Kenyans are asking. Why would I go to court if I can talk to my mzee wa mtaa and just deal with it at that point? So how do we also ensure that these cases don't end up at the mzee wa mtaa, but is brought to court and justice is dispensed with?
Let me start with the last question. So Article 159 allows us to embrace alternative justice systems. That includes the mzee wa mtaa, that includes elders sitting under a tree like they do in the Maasai land. But there are cases that they cannot be heard under the tree. But as a judiciary, what we do, let me talk about the association because I'm not the official spokesman. We become innovative. We started this conversation with a proverb about the ants unite and the mouths carry an elephant. So as an association, we became innovative and we have reached out to partners because we know we do not have financial muscle to do these things. So we have partners who we have vetted and have been vetted by the judiciary so that there's no conflict, who come and help us to ensure that these programs are rolled out and they're done, and we have a checklist on how it's working. For example, I gave an example of one of our partners called Equality Effect. So they have come up with a whole schedule on how they'll start with the police, and they'll do this and this and this. They engage the IG of police to do that. That is separate. Then they have gone to the prosecutors. They have a program, and now they're coming to the judiciary. They have a program. You see, this is one of the partners who is looking at a wholesome judicial system. So partnering with such a person or such an entity helps us as a judiciary. Number two, as Judge said, open days are important. And in the administration of justice, each court, during the budgeting process, currently we are doing the budgets of each court. Each court has what we call an AI holder who is mandated to hold the accounts of that court. So one of the things in the blueprint of her leadership is that we must be accessible. And one of the items that is in the budget is an open day. Each court must have an open day within the year. And an open day can be interpreted depending on where you are. You're in Lodwar, you go to the market. You're in Kajiado, go under the tree, let people come, go out there, not be within the court and put a tent and write a nice looking banner. So we are accessible through that open day. And we don't go there with our gowns and headgears. If you mingle around in the open day, you'd not know who is a magistrate. We're all in flat shoes. We're all wearing we're all smelling of sweat from walking from one point to another. So we are quite accessible. And Kenyans need to know that the judiciary actually cares.
Right.
It's just that we do not go with the placards. And as an association also, we are divided into regions so that each region, they have their own specific or uniqueness. For example, we have the Nairobi region. It's seen as upscale. Our problems are different from a region in Western. So each region has their own programs. And these programs are to the people. They go to the markets, they go to the prisons. So we are known. And they actually go, for example, I'll give an example of Kajiado where I work. We have a local radio station where we frequent. It's called Buzz Radio. We speak in Maasai all the time. So it's just that the Nairobi team have not heard of such things, but each region has that kind of plan.
Yeah.
So we are accessible. Yes.
And I think maybe just to add on to that, in terms of equipping and empowering, we realize that if you have a constant female face, the men begin to feel like, it's the usual women thing. So we have within our membership, he for she, the men who are actually within the association. And I'll tell you, I had a meeting with them just this week on Wednesday. And one of the activities they have indicated they will undertake as men within the association, so as to give it an inclusive face, is in commemoration of the Women's Day. They will actually reach out now to the boys' schools to sensitize them on proper conduct between themselves and girls, coming from a man's perspective. Yeah.
Right.
And reach out even to the wazees in the mtaa, so that they can then speak to them, to the churches, to the mosques, so that it has that inclusive approach to it.
When you go out, and I think this is all, in line with what we're saying now in entrenching and protecting some of these rights, do you hear about the things that actually happen that don't make it to court? Because we live in a society, whether we want to admit it or not, where there are very many damaged people who are operating under the circumstance of abuse. And I'm not just talking about girls, because here we're talking about, championing the rights of women and girls. There are very many abused men. There are very many abused women. I sit in a group of support for women. And of the 110 women, 63 of them, 63, were either sexually abused by a relative growing up, or even today by somebody with close connectivity for themselves. But the interesting thing is that the last place they think of going
is the court.
Why?
Because they will say it's going to take too long. They don't have the money to start it. They don't have representation. And how are they going to face the shame of standing in front of family members tomorrow to say that you took your uncle or your brother or your father or your whomever to court? Those are real issues that are being dealt with today. How do we handle that? Or the mother who is absolutely going to say no, she will not. In some cases, will blame her daughter and say that you were wayward. Why did they rape you? It sounds terrible, but that is what is happening.
Okay, I think one of the things that, as an association, we have tried to work around is to encourage getting safe houses, so that where survivors can at least get some protection. And the only way that they can even be made to know that there are places where they can go and be safe is by reaching out to them. The other place that, the other facility that is available is the witness protection. It's a whole world of things. It comes under the Witness Protection Act and the Witness Protection Program, where even a court may identify that this is a vulnerable witness who needs protection, and needs protection either to be away completely from wherever they are, needs to protection for relocation. So there are those. The only missing thing is that very few people are aware that these exist. And the only way, how will they know if we do not tell them, if we do not communicate to them? They will not. We cannot educate them only in court. We have to go out and tell them. But City and Do and Dennis, we seem to concentrate on sexual offences and femicide. But there are other instances where women are also disadvantaged.
Yes.
Especially in issues to do with succession,
land,
property, land. Yeah. We have very beautiful legislations that protect, but that is on paper. Yeah. In actual fact, the woman still remains the perpetual outsider, whether she remains in her parents' home or is married. You know, even when you are married, you are still the outsider. Yeah. So we need to reach out even to inform women on those, what are their rights, and to just let them know that there is no property in a body. So you don't have to have a body remain in a morgue for 3 years, all because you are contesting where it's going to be buried, because you think that where the body is buried will determine what you inherit.
Yeah.
But you see, many of our women are not aware of that. So we need to reach out to them. The only challenge in that is that when you put it in black and white, lazima niulize mzee kama naweza kuja hapo, because mzee might be thinking you're going to poison their minds. But there's a whole world of things out there that need to be, certainly SGBV and GBV, and there's also OGBV, online. Take center stage because of just the wide scale in which it is done, and the very heinous ways that sometimes it's done in.
Sure.
But there are also these everyday issues that
need to be dealt with.
Justice, you both talked of partners.
Yeah.
Do you partner with religious organizations?
Oh, yes, we do. And partnering with religious organizations doesn't even need budgeting, because if I'm a member of a church, all I need to do is indicate to my pastor.
You know why I ask? Some of these very touchy social issues.
Yes.
It has been found that religious organizations tackle them better.
True.
Because there's a trust. What's the opposite of deficit? Credit. There's a trust credit that religious organizations tend to have with people, and the things they put across are listened to far more.
Yes.
I say this because the issue bedeviling women, whether it is succession, whether it's violence, the women don't perpetrate violence on themselves. It is men who perpetrate this violence, and the people they are most likely to listen to beyond their own family are religious leaders.
True.
Yes.
True.
And that's why I said we embrace Article 159, which talks about alternative justice systems. I'll give you a scenario where in Nakuru there is an alternative justice system, and it is spearheaded by the religious. So that they sit somewhere and people come with their problems, and they listen and make determinations. And the determination they make will come back to court as a report, and the court will adopt that as a judgment, and it concludes the matters quickly. So religious leaders are very important. Also in the court users committees, which court must have, each court must have CUC.
Yes.
Religious leaders form part of
that.
So we're encouraging, instead of you coming straight to court, not because we do not want to work, we are willing to work, but we are saying that there are many other avenues which cases can be concluded faster and properly, except the sexual matters. Succession can be concluded properly under a tree. And once it is concluded properly under a tree, unfortunately also, we have to be aware that, for example, the Maasai, the elders will sit under the tree. Most of the elders are men. I'm a woman, I've gone to say that I've not inherited, but I'm talking to the men who are adjudicating. So there must be a balance also. So what I'm saying is that we acknowledge that the religious and any other person who we have vetted as a judiciary, because they are vetted, because you can have rogue pastors giving the wrong information.
Yes, this is true.
So there's no shortage of those.
Yes, they have to be vetted before they form that dispute resolution mechanism.
But to be fair to the Maasai, at least I know the Maasai of All Postmoru, that's up in the Mau. I worked with them when I was then a magistrate, and just when I joined the High Court. They have worked with a group known as Landesa. Landesa deals mainly with land issues, and Landesa did a great sensitization. They actually have women as elders. They've incorporated them.
Yes.
So I think it is all about reaching out to say that women can also make decisions.
Yes.
Women can also understand these issues. But you see, if I'm doing it as a woman, telling them, it will not work.
It will
Perhaps
not
when
work.
another man tells them,
Yeah.
then it would. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there are many layered conversations that are still happening, discussions, issues that need to be taken care of, and we must continue to discuss them, even as we do. What would be your message on this? Coming up to International Women's Day tomorrow, but then also, of course, today, looking at the International Day of Women Judges. What is your message, Honorable Kamau, and yours as well, Lady Justice Omondi, as we, get to the end of this conversation?
Okay, I would first say that it is important for all our children who are girls to be lawyers.
Oh, okay.
That's one. Because when you're a lawyer, you have a better place to study the law and know your boundaries, negotiate better. And unfortunately, the African culture says that when you educate a woman, you educate the whole community, which is good. So when you're a lawyer and you're a woman and you're in that community, you bring good to the family. I'm not saying any other profession is not good, but lawyers are good. So what I'm saying is that we are going to celebrate Women's Day with our partners, with our men, because they're also important in the society. But we are saying that women also they are vulnerable, and we need our own day to celebrate these achievements.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I'll go back to City's proverb, and my parting shot is that together we can transform. So in celebrating and commemorating the Women's Day tomorrow, I'm appealing to all of us as Kenyans, as human beings, to join our hands together to transform this country, this society, into a better place for everyone, where everybody's dignity is intact.
Thank you very much for joining this conversation today, even as we commemorate the International Day of Women Judges and get into International Women's Day tomorrow. The Lady Justice Helen Omondi, Court of Appeal Judge and President of the International Association of Women Judges, as well as Honorable Jane Kamau, Principal Magistrate and Vice Secretary of the International Association of Women Judges. Thank you for being here on Kenya's biggest conversation this morning. Asante Sana.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.